Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. This is a quick video just to explain to the parents what is expected from yourselves, inshallah, in relation to your children's learning within the madrasa, and especially the Ahsan al-Qawa'id, or the reading of the Arabic language. So when your child comes to the madrasa, inshallah, they will of course be learning how to read the Arabic language using most likely this book over here, Ahsan al-Qawa'id. So now for the children to make progress within the madrasa, it's important that, of course, they come to every single lesson, that they arrive on time, so that they can take benefit from the lessons that they're learning, inshallah. So, of course, so arriving in time is a given, and that they do not miss days with the madrasa except for emergencies. So these two things are absolutely essential for them to make progress within their learning at the madrasa. And the third thing, which is absolutely essential, without which they will not make progress, or the progress will be very, very small, is the support from the parents at home. As parents, you must help us to help your children learn the Arabic language and the Islamic studies within the madrasa. If the children do not get support at home, it's very unlikely that they'll make progress, or the progress will be very, very small. So now, as parents, what should you be doing on a daily basis with your children? So number one, you must have a routine that you sit down with your children and you learn together. And even if it's just 15-20 minutes a day. So number one, it must be a regular routine where the children sit down and they practice their reading of the Quran or the Ahsan al-Qawa'id. So now what's expected of them? So how do you navigate through this? So when your child comes to the madrasa, of course they'll be going through the pages with their teacher, they'll be learning. So as parents, you need to sit down with them and practice the next lessons that they're going to read, to the next lines that they're going to read to their teacher before they come to madrasa. So for example, if they come to the Saturday classes, the weekend classes, so before Saturday arrives, they need to have practiced all of their lines throughout the week. So for example, let's say if your child is on, let's say your child is on this page over here. So on Saturday, they will be reading these lines to the teacher. First line, second line, and third line. So what they should do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is practice these lines at home. This line, and this line, and this line. So that as soon as they come to madrasa, and within 3 minutes, the teacher tests them. So as soon as they come to madrasa, your child must be proficient and fluent and be able to read these 3 lines correctly. 1, 2, and 3. So they should be able to read it fluently like this. Adina, adina, baqiya, like that. So they'll only be able to read like that, fluently, articulating letters correctly, if they have practice at home. Children that just turn up and they do not get any parental support at home, they're, like I said, they won't be able to read. The lines that they do will be very minimal, and their progress will also be very minimal as well. And then a year later or 2 years later, the parents will complain, I've been sending my children to a madrasa, how comes they are not learning, or how comes they're still so far behind? The answer would be because of the parental support at home, most of the time. Okay, now now the next question is, how do you know which line your child is supposed to be learning? So here, what we do in the madrasa, we have a dating system. So every time your child passes a section, what the teacher will do, the teacher will date the Qa'ida. So for example, let's say in the madrasa today, your child read the first line, the second line, and third line. So what the teacher will do, on the third line, the last line that your child read to the teacher will date it. So for example, let's say the 6th of the 11th of 25 over here, 6, 11, 25. So if you see a date over here, it means that last lesson, your child has already read this line, they've read this line, and they've already read this line. So now, when they practice at home, where do you start from? You start from the next line after the date. So you start from over here. So next time they go to madrasa, they'll be tested on the first line, second line, and then from the exercise, this line over here. So that's how it works. So at home, before they come to madrasa, they'll practice these 3 lines, 1, 2, and then 3. And once they read these 3 lines to the teacher will date the last line that they passed with the teacher. So let's say, imagine your child passed this line, and then this line, and this line in madrasa, then the teacher will, on the next day, they'll date it. So 7, 11, 25. So now, as a parent, when your child comes home and they open their book, you look where the last date is. So last date is over here. Last date is over here. So hence, you're not going to practice this line with them because they've already read this. You're going to practice 1, 2, and 3 with them. So that's how the dating system works. And as parents and as a head teacher, we should be able to see consistent dating within your child's Qa'ida. So there should be a date over here, then there should be a date over here. There should be another date, let's say 3 lines down. That should say if they're coming to weekday or whatever it is. But there should be consistent dating every 3 lines or so, or 4 lines. So there shouldn't be large gaps. If there's a large gap, it just means they're not passing. They're not passing their lines, and they've just been on the same lines for again and again and again, or they've been absent, or something is going wrong over here. So there should be consistent dating. So 7, 11, 7, 11, 25. Let's say over here, there should be 11. So 8, 11, 25. And the next page should be, let's say, 9, 11, 25. So as a head teacher and as a parent, we should be able to see this consistent dating and they're moving along basically. So between 1 to 2 years, your child should have absolutely perfected the Qa'ida. And there should be a track record that they're learning regularly and they are passing. Now, also keep in mind your child's diary as well. So this is how you help them at home with the Qa'ida. And the other thing that you can use before I get to the diary is that we have the entire Ahsan al-Qawa'id from start to finish has been taught online on YouTube. So if, let's say, as a parent, you're finding it difficult to help your child, or your knowledge on how to read the Arabic writing isn't as perfect as it needs to be, that's not a problem. So all you need to do is you need to go on YouTube and go on Darul-ilm Chatham and click on our YouTube channel and then click on playlist. And when you go down, you'll see a playlist called Ahsan al-Qawa'id. There, every single lesson is taught online. All your child has to do is have a device in front of them, listen to the lesson being taught, and practice with the video. So that's a solution that parents have if you are not able to help them entirely with their Arabic reading. So that's that. And of course, the second thing that you do with your children's learning is the homework diary. So let's say if there's specific things that your child needs to go over, or they need to do extra homework, or let's say they're actually on page 30, but they're struggling with lessons on page 8, for example. So those things will be mentioned in the child's homework diary. So when your child goes home, you need to take out their homework diary. And let's just go to the first week. So there it should say week commencing. So if they go to the weekday madrasa, this will say Monday and whatever the date is on Monday. If they go to weekend madrasa, this will say Saturday and whatever the date is on Saturday. So here you use this to see if there's any comments from the teacher at the bottom over here, or sometimes we filled in over here. So you need to read the comments from the teacher so you can apply them at home as well. And then here it shows time spent. So what you need to do as a parent is you need to monitor how long they're spending, and you need to be signing it and dating it. So here in time spent, you write down how long they've spent. So ideally a child should be spending about 20 to 30 minutes regularly. Let's say 3 times a week, 4 times a week for them to make good progress. So here you'll write, let's say on Monday they spent 20 minutes. On Wednesday they spent another 30 minutes. On Thursday they spent 30 minutes. So you write the times over here and then you write your signature to ensure that everything is correct. And of course, keep a lookout for their homework. So here in the homework diary, your child's surah homework will be written and dua homework will be written as well. So let's say on Monday, they were giving Surah Kafirun, excuse my handwriting, Surah Kafirun, let's say lines 1, 2, 3. And then on Wednesday, they're given the same surah, but lines 4 till 5, for example. So you need to be able to look at the homework diary, see what homeworks they've got, and practice those homeworks, inshallah, with the children at home. So always keep on top of their diaries. As parents, we hand over this responsibility to you, that your child is learning at home, you are monitoring their learning, and you're writing their time that they've spent over here, and then it is being signed. And we also have we have a reward system in the madrasa for those students that spend their time learning at home. They get their diary signed, and we also have a punishment system as well, where their points are taken away, and sometimes in weekend classes they lose their breaks if they are not learning at home and the diaries are not signed. So this responsibility we hand over to the parents, and this is absolutely essential for your children to make progress within the madrasa. And the third thing is let's go into the Quran. So if your child is on the Quran, so again, same system, same dating system will be over here as well. So imagine your child, let's say your child is reading the Quran. So what they'll do is they'll read 1 to 2 lines at a time, 3 lines at a time to the teacher. And where they stop, it'll be marked like this. So there'll be a mark over here looking like this. And again, the teacher will date it. So let's say that your child read this to your teacher today. The child will put the today's date, let's say the 6th, 11/25. So here, this means that the child has read from here to the teacher until here on this date. Now, when they practice at home, or when you want to help your children practice at home, you look for the last date over here. And then hence they'll practice at home starting from here. If they generally read 2 lines, they'll practice 2 lines. If they read 3 lines, they'll practice 3 lines. So that's how it works. Again, in your child's Quran, there should be consistent dating. Let's say they read this much on 6th, then here they should say 7th. And then on the 8th, there should be more dating. Let's say they read up till here on the 8th, then here it will be signed 8/11/25. But just to keep, I'm just going to reiterate this. Where the date is, that means they've already read this. So if the date is on the 3rd line and there's a slash over here, it means your child has already read lines 1, 2, and 3 to the teacher. So when they practice at home, they won't start from the 3rd line, they'll start from the 4th line over here, from where they left off. So again, in the Quran, there should be consistent dating, so we can monitor their progress, that they're reading every day to their teacher, they're making progress, they're not absent. So it shouldn't be like this date is over here that says 8/11/25, and the next date over here, let's say, is like, I don't know, 30/11/25. So here, if I see a date, such a big jump, it means there's something clearly going wrong. Either the child's been absent, which of course, such a long absence is problematic, or let's say they're not passing. They're failing every single day, so hence they're reading the same thing again. So we have to see what's going wrong. So there should be consistent dating throughout the Quran. And just one more point regarding the Quran. Sometimes the parents ask, why is my child only reading 2 lines, or why are they only reading 1 line? The answer to that is, the lines increase based on your child's ability to read. So once your child demonstrates that they can read 1 line correctly, fluently and correctly, then they do that regularly, then they'll be moved on to 2 lines. Once your child demonstrates they can read 2 lines fluently and correctly, then they'll move on to 3 lines at a time. And once they demonstrate that they can read 3 lines fluently and correctly, then they'll move on to 4 lines until they get to a page. So if your child is only reading 2 lines, it's not because the teacher doesn't like your child, it's because your child is struggling to read more than that fluently and correctly. And of course, if you have any further concerns, then this is when you speak to the teacher and you ask your teacher, okay, how do I get my child to move on to 3, 4, 5 lines? And the teacher should explain to you the mistakes that they're making and what they need to focus on, inshallah, for improvement. And last thing is their surahs and du'as. So that's what I'll go through now, inshallah. So let me just move these out of the way. Okay, so the surahs and du'as over here. So this is a book that your child will have throughout their madrasa. So in this book is their surahs. In this book is their surahs, and in this book is their du'as over here. Okay, so how surahs will work? Let's say every time your teacher tests the child, what the teacher will do 2 things. Number 1 is the teacher will circle your child's mistake. For example, if they made a mistake on ha, or they made a mistake on ra, they made a mistake on ayn, or ha over here. So all of these mistakes will be circled. So as a parent, when your child goes home, you can see what mistakes that they made based on their circles. So that's the first thing. And the second thing that the teacher will do is, once the teacher tests the child properly, then what they will do is they'll put a date over here, the date that the test was done. So let's say the test was on today. Imagine the date is, 6th of the 11th of 25. And then they'll write the number of mistakes. So if they made 5 mistakes, the teacher will write 5, M like this, M for mistakes. So then when the child goes home and you want to help, as a parent, you need to help your children, then what you'll do, you'll check when the last time they were tested, so 6/11/25, and how many mistakes did they make? 5 mistakes. And what the teacher should do as well, the teacher should number them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can clearly see exactly where the mistake was, exactly which letter the child made a mistake on, and where these mistakes are. And next time the child is tested and they correct these mistakes, the teacher with a rubber will rub these numbers out. And then let's say they tested the next day, 7, 11, 25. And then if they pass, the teacher will write P for pass. Or if they didn't pass, the teacher will write, let's say, 2 mistakes. So there's 2 mistakes left. And they'll renumber these. Let's say that these were all corrected, just these 2 mistakes left. The teacher will rub this out, put 1 over here. The teacher will rub this out and put 2 over here. So it's a very easy tracking method for as head teachers to follow along and for parents to also follow along as well. So here, there should be consistent dating again in the surahs. So let's say until they've passed, they should be tested again and again and again. So if they didn't pass on the 6th, they'll be tested again on 7th. If they didn't pass on the 7th, they should be tested again on the 11th. Like that, until they passed. So your child's surah and dua book should be filled with dates, basically. And if there's no dates, it just means they're not being tested by the teacher, which is a cause for concern. That's when you need to speak to your teacher, or you need to speak to the head teacher. And you need to ask, how comes my child is not making progress in their surahs? I do not see any dates over here. So once they pass Surah Al-Fatiha, then they'll move on to Surah Al-Nas, which is in the next section over here. So again, same thing the teacher will do. The teacher will circle any mistakes that your child made. They'll number the mistakes, and there'll be consistent dating over here. First test, 10 mistakes, for example. Second test, 7 mistakes. Third test, which will be dated, 5 mistakes. Like that, until they pass the surah. Once they pass the surah, then they move on to Surah Al-Falaq. And they keep on going like that. So it starts off with the basic surahs and gets a bit more advanced to Qari'ah. Then you got Surah Al-Kahf, the first 10 verses, and so on and so on. And likewise, in this book is your child's du'as. Let's say F1 du'as are the most basic. They have to learn the Arabic, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and then they have to learn the translation as well. Once they've learned the Arabic and the translation, the teacher will either date it over here. So for example, like this, 6, 11, 25. So if you see a date on your child's dua, it means they've passed it. Or sometimes it will be dated over here where the contents page is. So if it says first kalima, then the date will be over here. So as a parent, you can see which surah that your child is on by looking at the dates. So let's say if in my child's dua book, this is dated, this surah is dated, so going back to the surahs, 6, 11, 25, this is dated. So all of these surahs are dated. So I know that my child has passed all of these because I can see the date and I can see the P. But then I come to Surah Al-Ma'un, there's no date and there's no pass, which means my child is on this surah and they need to learn this surah. So then that's what you need to focus on. So always look out for the dates and check that there's consistent dating in your child's book. And if there is not, then this is an issue or concern that you raise and we need to get to the bottom of this. And again, with the surahs, of course, as parents, you must help them at home. But if your tajweed isn't as proficient to be able to help them, then again, it's not too much of a concern because you have to. Then all you have to do is go into a Darul-ilm YouTube channel, and then go to the playlist section, and then click on the playlist that says 30th juz, and there, all your child has to do is play the device in front of them, and then read with the video. The video will tell them, okay, this is full mouth. Make sure you put F over here. This is read strong. So everything is explained to them. All they have to do is watch and practice with the video. So they can literally by themselves learn how to read the entire surah with perfect tajweed. And then once they get to madrasa, they just need to be tested by the teacher. So always look out for dates for their surahs and also dates for their du'as to know where they're at. And there should be consistent dating and they should be consistently moving forward. And if your child is not consistently moving forward, or nothing has been dated for the last 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, then this is a cause for concern wherein you need to contact the madrasa, inshallah. So this is a brief explanation, inshallah, what to expect from our parents and how you can help them at home. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.